Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Creatives of Windsor Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Shurdown, and today I'm sitting down with the drummer of the local band Huttch, Robbie Cervi.
Dude.
You like that?
Yeah, upgrade the soundboard. Dude, we could get wacky with this, like a morning show.
You can program these to whatever you want them to be.
Get the clap, like when I say something dumb, just put the claps on. It'll be like a good, the laughs.
There we go. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, yeah, you're too kind.
Yeah, this one used to be something, but all these are the stock ones. The only one I've changed is the intro.
Yeah, That's so funny. You can just cue it at any time. Yeah. You could go wild with that. That could be something. I mean, I don't know. It's your move, but you have total freedom.
Yeah, I honestly don't have any of these memorized. But when I was doing the intro before you got here, I was just fucking around and I hit this, and then I was like, oh, I gotta do that.
I'm gonna try and remember them and cue myself in too.
There's actually a little piece of cardboard that goes around and you can write so you know.
Yeah, or little labels.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Color coded, you're good.
Yeah, that's good.
As long as you know the intro button.
Yeah, I know the intro one's red, so we're all good. You can actually change the colors of them all too, which is pretty sick.
Nice.
Yeah,
this is a good little rig you got going here.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on,
dude. It's been a long time coming. I feel like you kind of. I remember I saw you, and then you were like, I know I just had Sebastian on, but you'll be coming on. I just don't know when. I got to space it out, and I'm like. Number one, dope. I love podcasts in general. And number two, I'm that totally makes sense. We can't just okay, let's have each member of Huttch answer the same questions around the same time period. So, it's good. It's been probably almost a year
No, it's been a year and a half. He was on, it was a year in April since Ash was on.
Yeah. So
August, September. Yeah, almost a year and a half.
So I feel this is a fair gauge of things have changed. I might answer the questions differently anyways, but we've done stuff since then. We've been busy.
We've been friends for so long. I think that we're just gonna have a different conversation anyway.
Yeah, we could go completely off track and just talk about whatever we want.
I think if I had members from the same band on that I wasn't friends with, it would probably be the same interview. But because I'm friends with you guys, it's not.
It's just a chat.
Yeah.
It's just a chat at this point, which is totally cool with me.
Yeah. And then I had Sheila on in the middle, so I didn't want to have you too close to her either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So things start to overlap, right? And you're trying to get all of Windsor and everything that's going on. You want to get different perspectives.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's take it back to the beginning. When did you guys start State of Us?
State of Us existed before I was in the band. Oh. So State of Us was Dakota, the old drummer, and Zach and Sebastian. And it was basically just a band. And I'm not the best person to describe this, but it was basically those guys together with a rotating cast of whatever friend wanted to play bass or play guitar. Fabio was in the band for a while. Our friend Brandon was in the band and was singing. It's been just this ever existing thing. And Dakota was always the drummer. So I was okay, well, I'll do my own thing. And then Dakota went away for school, and that's kind of when I took over as the drummer, essentially. So that was probably around 2013 or something. I was second year university.
Okay.
I think I joined when I was 21.
Yeah, because what year did you guys finish high school? 2011? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was past high school. I already met those guys. I already became friends with those guys. Went to their shows all the time, did my own thing, had my own bands, and we just existed as friends. And I'm so happy for them, that they were getting their music out there and stuff like that. So, yeah, State of Us kind of started way before me, and it's just it was just this ever evolving thing. Every year at the Battle of the Bands in high school would be a different formation of the same State of Us,
When did you guys take the name Huttch, in 14?
Yeah, it was the year that I joined after I finished school that year, or it might have even been the year after. So yeah, probably 2014. That's when we moved to Toronto. And that's when, I was dying to change the name. And that's kind of when it started existing as a different band.
You guys lived there for a whole summer, right?
Yeah, 6 months. We subletted a Ryerson dorm and lived in Toronto very cheaply and also very poorly as well. It was the middle of summer, and we're well, let's just see what happens if we don't buy an air conditioner and we can, just wait it out and hopefully it doesn't get too hot this year. And there was 3 of us in like a 2-bedroom dorm, and like dorms are small, dorms are minimalistic. So it was tight quarters.
And that's okay though.
But it was always something where it's like, you want to be a band? Well, like, you can be a band in Windsor and you can do that all the time, but like, let's see what else is there. Let's make a name for ourselves. Let's meet people and, expand what we can do, kind of thing.
Yeah, I found you guys when I was a college student. Yeah. And I was like, Ryan was in the same program as me, and he made the video for you guys for Give Me Some More.
Yeah.
And then I took on the music beat like at school that year in journalism, and then I did that interview with you guys.
Yeah.
For a beer exchange.
Yeah, that was like the first time we really like interacted like at that level, right? And that was like, I even remember like us talking about it being like, I don't know, like, should we do photos with someone that isn't Ryan? Like, Ryan's been our guy. And I'm like, dude, it's just an interview. Like, I think we'll be fine, And so that was like, we like, Huttch just started existing. And I think that first music video really kind of like showed people the new sound that we were working on the whole time in Toronto. It was kind of like like almost a year's buildup of like creating whatever that was with the first EP. And even like that song came out and we didn't even have any of the other songs of the EP recorded.
Oh, not even recorded?
No. And like some of them were written, but then we were writing most of them back in Windsor after we already left Toronto. So Give Me Some More was kind of like the Toronto song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys all live together here after that too, right?
Zach and Sebastian lived together. I lived like a few blocks away. Them and another friend of ours, they rented a house kind of in like university area.
Yeah.
So they, just wanted to like move out of their parents' house, do their own thing, live independently. And we basically lived like frat bros, like in a different way though, because there was like a band in the basement. We did house shows. We did, a lot of our writing like in the basement. And, I'd say like that whole EP was written like in that basement when we were in that kind of era of the band.
Is that the house you guys filmed White Sheets in?
Yeah. So like even White Sheets, it's like a perfect picture of like, this is how we lived. Like, it literally went through the entire house. I think we used every room in the house, like we went through the entire house like in a single shot showing like everything that was going on.
That was sick.
It was really cool. And it was one of those things where you plan for these music videos where you're like, well, who's going to show up? What are we going to do? Like, music videos look cool because there's a bunch of people in them. But when you're a band starting out, like, you got to get as many people as you can. So we just like called all our friends, anyone that we could get together, and like made it kind of like a house party, but also just kind of like every room we wanted the door to open to another room and just be a completely different thing.
Yeah.
In that video. It was really cool. It was a great concept, and I think we did it well. We had to run that, it's a single shot. So like the second one person misses a cue, like I think there's 4 drum sets that I'm like running to and playing the drums again, and then running to another spot, playing the drums again.
And I haven't seen that video in so long, and I used to watch it a lot back then.
Yeah.
We should put it on. You want to put it on?
I'd be down because like I personally haven't watched it in a long time either.
I'd love to analyze it.
I could give you like a play-by-play of like what I'm doing in the like what everyone's kind of doing in the background, because like you see some of the same people in a different room like overlapping, right?
Yeah.
So it has a lot of playback value to it as well. Yeah.
And like when you guys were doing all that stuff, I was probably like 19, and I felt like you guys were like the older cool kids, like because you guys would have been like 21.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, these guys are in their 20s and they're like doing all this cool band stuff. And
I wouldn't have it any other way, like I think we did the right things at the right time, where it's like, yeah, I'm 21. Let's do whatever we want. We want to be in a band. Let's be in a band. Let's make as much cool stuff as we can, and
yeah, for sure.
Like the timing was just right that like things were happening at like a moment where we could actually make that happen. All of our friends were doing cool stuff, and we basically tapped as many shoulders as we can to like even help with the filming of this, to help with the editing, stuff like that. Yeah, it was all for that contest. It was like it was a music video contest, It was a cool video.
The art scene in like 10 years ago around here was cool. Like with the Windsor Independent, yeah. I feel like they were like the Windsor Independent was a big part of that art scene because like they kind of hosed everybody's everything.
and they really helped. Like, it was like a perfect infrastructure. I felt like when we left Windsor to Toronto, it was an okay scene. And we all kind of nodded our heads when we came back, like, it's way more put together now, you know? And like, definitely Windsor Independent was like a big part of that, but also like at that time there was just like a lot of really good bands doing stuff. And now we had that platform to promote it. Yeah. Like, it was like a perfect storm of like local music.
Yeah. And I feel like everybody that was in the scene at that time was like kind of around the same age-ish.
Yeah.
And then like, it was like going and going and going, and then the Windsor Independent died off, and then like a year and a half later, COVID hit, and nothing happened for like a couple years almost. Like, it was weird, and now we're like out of COVID, and it's like I don't even know like what the scene is right now, you know?
Yeah, and like you don't even know where to start. Like, people have like kind of lost their footing, but there is still like, I don't know. I think the scene's just fine. It's just a matter of like, it's almost harder to find it. You have to like know where to look for it, or you need to like ask around and be like, who's playing music now? You know, like I was kind of wondering that for a bit, and you start to find these other bands that are doing stuff, and you know, and as long as the music's good, like, I'm in. Like, I want to see these bands play. I want to see what they're doing, you know?
There's still like, I've always said this, like, Windsor has the best bands. I want to see some like new like bands like the bands I've been seeing like locally are the ones I've been seeing for a lot of years now. Like, I want to see like, where's like the 20-year-old bands like you guys were 10 years ago, you know? Like, I want to see some of those guys. Yeah. There's got to be some around.
You gotta like hang with the kids and just be like, what am I missing out on, you know? And there's a lot of good bands right now that are like doing stuff, and I just hope that, because there isn't really the same platforms. Even like YouTube, we post music videos, and it's just not as like monumental as like now, like we make music videos to chop them up and make them into reels, like,
which fucking sucks.
It's like a different experience. It's a different way to palette like content like that.
Yeah. I've been like, this podcast always inspires me, like when I have people on to like go out to shows, and like it does make me go like out into the scene more for sure. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like when I was younger though, like I was always like downtown at like one of the five. Like, you know. Me too.
Like, I was at Beer Exchange, like, even when I wasn't playing, or Zach would hit me up and be like, hey, like, this band's playing. Me and Zach I probably missed like 2 Brandy shows ever, like Brandy Alexanders. Like, me and Zach would go to every single show. We would just love them. We were like, these guys are awesome. Like,
yeah, I remember like Tuesday nights, like me and Dave would go to like Milk, and just like some random thing would be going on.
Yeah, but it was just like, you know what, it might be good or it might suck and I'll never go again. And you just kind of rolled the dice and made a night out of it at least.
Yeah, I feel like I just had more time for that stuff back then. It kind of sucks.
That's the other thing. Like that's what I kind of meant when I was like, we were 21 doing all this stuff. It's like, what else are you going to do? Mm-hmm. What else are you going to do? You might as well, like, it's either that or you're like pounding beers at like John Max or something with your buddies, which is like totally, you know, like I like doing that too. But I think like we had the free time, we had the energy, and we had the skill to play music. We had the skill to write songs and like have good creative ideas. Yeah. So like it was a good time.
I feel like there's still like so much cool stuff going on. It's just like us, like who've been around for like 10 or so years, just kind of switched up the way we do it a little bit. But like, we all still do it though.
I think so. And I think the people that really want to do it are always just going to keep doing it in one way or another. Like like in any creative form, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think like, you know, like even with music, like I think it's always going to be part of my life. Like probably no matter what. Like I'm like, I don't want to lose this skill that I've had since I was like 13, you know, like I want to keep playing drums, even if it's like a jazz combo that plays once a year. Like I want to do something, and I think I'm always going to play music.
Yeah, for sure. I'll do photography for the rest of my life. That's kind of what I've like dedicated my life to, and like the creative form. And
yeah, and it's transitioned into a career for you. Like you're doing like these big photo shoots, you're doing, you know, and like weddings, I'm sure is like a great part of the business aspect where it's like, yeah, I can do your whole package, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, like Huttch could be a wedding band if we wanted to, but then we wouldn't have time for the other shows, you know, like, so.
Yeah, like I can still do my art, my personal work, and shoot weddings, whereas like you guys can't miss every Saturday.
There's only so many weekends, and you know that too, doing weddings. There's only so many weekends, and even in my regular life, there's only so many weekends, right? If I'm not playing shows, I got something else going on. Like it always seems to be something.
Yeah. I know. I wish there was more weekends. Like a weekend for work and then a weekend
double up a couple weeks and just make them all weekends. You know, like something like that. Like
for sure.
A couple March breaks throughout the year. Like sprinkle them.
Okay, let's watch this thing.
Yeah,
man, this is like
I'll do live commentary on it as well.
All right, let's do it. Where is the thing?
You got it.
Yeah, it's good.
Is the auto gonna go through?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah.
Man, you guys are young here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're youngsters. And like Sebastian's a completely different guy now. Like, who's that guy? Oh yeah. See, first drum set.
What year is this? 15 or 16?
This is before. Yeah, just look at the date. I don't know. Like I honestly couldn't tell you.
Wow.
16. Yeah. Oh no, 15.
September 1st. So like exactly 9 years ago.
See, we tried to use the whole, like every room we tried to use in some way, shape, or form. That's Josh's baby at the time.
Who's 9 years old now?
Yeah, exactly. Like we saw Josh's baby again, and we're like, oh my god, it's the White Sheets baby. And then like during this, like I'm like sprinting to a drum set that's hidden in the corner there, behind the camera, pushing people out of my way. And then we're like stalling with something else to like set up so it's like, oh, I was always there.
Man, I just miss like this era of like videos and photos, and it was like such a different like style than it is now.
Well, this was definitely us like pushing a concept, you know, and like actually executing it. You know, like you can have an idea, but sometimes it's hard to actually make it happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And this was, you know, like we couldn't have done this by ourselves. Like we had like a bunch of people, you know, helping us, directing us, like even like telling our like actors, aka like all of our friends, like where to go, what to do.
Yeah, because you guys can talk all during this, right? Like
yeah. It's like, okay, go. What's the next one? Okay, get in there. 1, 2, 3, and like even like the lights turning on right when the song starts. Like that was all like timed and planned.
What do you guys? Do you guys have like would you have like a stereo with just a song blasting on it or what?
Yeah, I think someone just had like a speaker just like following the camera, you know, and you can kind of hear it, but like even like, you know, I'm like fake playing drums, but they still make noise, right? So I'm like just trying to like follow Sebastian's shoulders moving or something, hoping I'm on time.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it would have been sick to go to a show down there.
Oh, it was wild, and we had a lot of fun shows, and it was I want to say it was like Zach's idea to be like, dude, we have this house, like let's do shows, and it kind of really helped promote the band in a way too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the Huttch guys, they do shows. So it was almost like another venue that like a band could play and like see a whole. I loved playing house shows because you get a whole new crowd. People that maybe don't go downtown and don't go see your shows, but maybe they've heard of your band. You're playing their like house party and they're like, oh, these guys are sick. This is cool. Oh, they're playing cool covers. Oh, this is, you know, like it's, yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, want to give me some more while we got it up?
Oh God, no. No way, man. That's the hardest one. Like some of them are hard to watch.
You guys got a lot on here.
Yeah, man. It's a whole, you know, and like.
What's your favorite song from the first one?
Probably Every Now and Then.
That's your favorite song?
Yeah, I think so.
That's probably mine too.
I think, like, yeah, Every Now and Then was probably me doing something really different. Like, it's my favorite just because it's probably my most favorite to play. And I was just doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Like, I was, like, playing drums in a very different way than what I was used to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, like, weird fills and stuff like that. And, like, even, like, the guys were like, just do something like in these bars, just like do some crazy fill, like just fill up the space, you know? And then I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? Like, you know, and just kind of messed around with it a bit.
Yeah. Do you have like a little solo in that song, or? There's
like a part in it where, I'm trying to think. Yeah, like where I mimic Sebastian's like guitar solo, and I do it like with the toms, and it's like, I don't know, I'm like, that's a really cool part, and like it's like perfectly timed out with his parts, that it's like, it's spontaneous and doesn't make sense on its own, but with his guitar, it's like, oh, they're perfectly in sync. Yeah. And it's just a perfect thing where it's like, Sebastian's always going to play that part that way, I'm always going to play that part that way, and it just instantly sounds like tight, like super together.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite song too, because I remember the first time I was interviewed by Dan McDonald on his show Here and Now.
Yeah.
Before my first art show ever that you guys played. Yeah. He asked me which Huttch song I want him, and he played it on the show after he interviewed me, and I picked that one.
Nice.
Yeah. So long ago.
And like, if you listen to the lyrics, like it was about like the band at that time. You know, you got to live for what you do. You know, like I can't remember all the lyrics, but it's like, you know, it's basically like, you're not going to get far if you don't go for it. Yeah, is like kind of the theme of the song. Like if you listen to the lyrics, and it Sebastian's always good at like capturing the moment with lyrics. Yeah, he'll like talk about stuff that's literally happening right now and then, and he just has a really good way of like capturing like what we're all feeling, even though we didn't talk about it.
Okay.
You know?
I was just up north camping for the week, and like I listen to Georgian Bay like every day, a couple times a day. Oh, and dude, his lyrics in that song like perfectly capture it up there.
Paint a picture. We were just at that cottage, and it's just like, that is like the official theme song for that cottage. Every time we play up north, like people love that song. Even if we're somewhere close to Georgian Bay, people will be like, oh, I know Georgian Bay. Oh, or like it'll just remind them of their cottage, or like going up there and, you know, spending that time in the summer. And it has that feel. You know, I call it our Margaritaville.
Do you guys listen to your own songs, just the three of you, like when you're just hanging out, or not really?
I'm probably the most guilty of it. Probably no. Like it would only be for research purposes only, like strictly, you know?
Yeah, to like listen to it. Just to listen to it, like to make sure it sounds good.
Like if we were like, okay, we're gonna play every now and then at a show, we're gonna have to listen to it a few times. And I'll do it sometimes where like we're at practice, and I'll be like, you know, we should play the older songs, and Sebastian's like, I can do them. I'm like, okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. You know, like let's practice it, and like, you know, we have to do it a few times. Like, yeah, it's a little rusty.
Do you ever have like written? Is there any songs that like either of you like I know Sash says like Malden Hill, like he forgot how to play it or something, or it's...
Yeah, and like he could like, and like he's always like, I could play it. Like he would have to like sit down with it and almost like relearn it. And we've even like, as we've like matured and aged, we find different ways to play it. You know, so it would be something where we'd have to relearn how to play it together.
Oh, okay.
In like whatever way we choose. But like, yeah, like for him to sit down and be like, okay, here's Malden Hill. He probably would mess up some stuff. I would probably mess up some stuff too, like kind of forgetting. I don't know, like drumming's almost like, it's like a dance routine. So it's like, I'll kind of forget where my arms are supposed to be in certain parts, and I'll play it maybe wrong. You know, it's, you know, I always push for us to play the old songs, because I'm like, people want to hear that. People like those songs. People still listen to them. Yeah. But it would be a whole thing where we would have to commit like a whole night of practicing to just like doing those songs and locking them in.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. You guys have a lot now. Like you guys have a lot to play from, but I guess right now you almost don't, because you're only trying to play the heavy stuff, right?
Yeah. Like the goal right now is to like basically walk into a set, play the new, like just the new stuff, and just see how people feel about it. Like, especially right now, because it's all so new and exciting. We just want to like show, like we always like the moment we write a song, we want to play it. Like, yeah, for every time we have a new song, we're like, well, let's see how people react to it. Let's see how people, like, which song are people nodding their heads to the most? Like, which one's like working, you know? So especially right now, like we have essentially an album of new songs. So like, I'd say like our most of the shows on the last tour have been just like, play the new stuff, see what people think. And like, we can, you know, especially the ones that aren't out yet, we can still tweak them. But like, we'll do those tweaks, you know, as we like finish them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. At the last show at Craft Heads a few weeks ago, you guys did all the new stuff, and then you guys played one old song at the end. Was it Georgian Bay?
Yeah.
It was. Oh, wait, was it?
No, I think it was White Sheets. No, it was Georgian Bay. Now I don't. No, he didn't have a.
It wasn't White Sheets, was it?
No, never mind. It was Georgian Bay.
Was it Georgian Bay?
Because it was kind of something I came up with where I'm like, let's play all these heavy songs and then give them like a palate cleanser of like Georgian Bay to like kind of calm down, so that people don't go out and like start breaking into cars. Like just kind of, it's all kumbaya, and just relax.
Yeah, that was a fun show. I haven't seen you guys at Craft Heads in like a decade, so.
I want to, no, yeah, we did another show there, but then we did your show there, which was cool. Yeah. And I remember we did that show and we're just like, this place isn't really made to be a venue, but it's also a room with cool owners that are willing to do something like that if we wanted to, Yeah. So we've done it a few times. We did the Home Run show there as well, on a separate tour. It's, those guys are the best. They will make it work for you. And they've done so much now compared to when we played on the floor, for your show. They have a stage, they have a PA, they have space where they can move the tables and open it up completely. So
yeah, it's definitely, it's set up a little bit better for that stuff now for sure.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. That was a fun show though, a couple of weeks ago. I had a good time.
Yeah. I've been loving doing that with the new songs and just being okay, we're not going to play Get Up. We're not going to play Get On With It. We're doing these songs, let us know what you think kind of thing. And it's different, it's very different what we're doing. But at the same time, I feel it's still Huttch in its own way.
Yeah, for sure. So that was the tour for the new songs that you guys were just on, right?
Yeah.
And that was that show. But you guys don't have a physical thing out for that yet.
No, it just exists on the internet. I don't know, should we burn CDs or something? I don't know what to do. And it's just an EP. Every time, when our first EP came out, it was basically the only songs we had. So we're CDs, get this out. And it was also kind of a different era. People were buying CDs. Spotify just started and it was
I
free and it kind of sucked.
didn't use Spotify for years after that first one came out.
Yeah, exactly. So we sold out of our first order of CDs and we're well, that's cool. Let's do it again, and so yeah, with the way we're doing it now, it's just pushing everything online. Realistically for me, I don't know how I feel maybe we'll burn CDs and make our own album covers or something, but I think to pay the money to print the CDs, that might be over.
Yeah.
For us, unless the label's we're making CDs, we're doing this and we'll push the sales and we'll do it for you. And it's okay, great. You do it. We're we know that we'll sell maybe 2 CDs at a show. Whereas people see the vinyl and they're I want that. That's cool. This will remind me that I saw Huttch.
Yeah.
And it'll always be in my collection and people will be it's something that maybe someone else won't have. They'll be oh, it was this cool band I saw. They're really good.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, vinyl is, I haven't bought a CD in a long time.
Oh no, I I had a lot of CDs, a lot, and then I shoved them all on my iPod, and then I just had the iPod, and I had the CDs as backup, and now it's well, all my CDs exist on the internet, so let's just sell all of these at Dr. Disc, get as many records as I can for them, or take the cash, whatever, and then me and CDs are pretty much through. I think the only CDs I kept are the ones where I'm this doesn't exist in any other form. I have the Brandy's first EP before they re-released the album, and they're different versions of the songs. There's different songs on them, and I'm I'm keeping this. This is a piece of history now at this point. This is a memory.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would get rid of bands CDs, just whatever bands, but I'll never get rid of your first CD that I have, because that's.
Yeah, there's just more to it, right? Whereas I don't need my The Who CDs. I'm good. If I want to listen to The Who, I can listen to the greatest hits. I can put on any album I want or I can put on the record, and listen to them that way. So yeah, I feel for the most part, me and CDs are kind of through, even though I think they're having their own little comeback because the quality is technically better than streaming. Streaming isn't actually the
yeah, I'm sure.
It's not top-notch quality. Some services are better than others, but there is a noticeable difference. We've kind of went back and forth because we have the raw files from a recording studio, and then we'll play that track, and then we'll play the on Spotify. Huge difference. You miss little parts, and it just sounds way bigger.
Yeah, it compresses it, right?
Oh yeah, to fit in their template of a song.
Even with this podcast, when I export, I'll bring this podcast in and then I'll export it for Spotify's format, and it always says this is being heavily compressed.
Yeah, exactly, because they need to squish the quality to fit into what they can do.
Yeah.
And like, who even knows what Spotify's doing? Like the amount of computers they need to like hold all these songs, you know? And so it's like, yeah, they're just like storing it in a filing cabinet at like the lowest quality that will like still make it sound like a song.
Yeah.
But like if you sat down and like listened to a song and then listened to the other song on like even a CD, even on like a higher quality streaming service, or even on a record, you'll hear like little parts where you're like, well, I didn't hear that in the other one, or I did hear it, but it was so faint that it's just kind of in the background. And, you know, like all of that is like, you're missing out on like part of it, right? On part of like the making of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. As somebody who like makes tangible work themselves, like I know, like I can catch a sense of like you like having the raw and then listen to it after, like, and just like hearing and listening and seeing every little thing. Like it's so anal retentive.
Like, you know, when you send files through like Facebook Messenger or like through text, and like every time you resend it, it loses a bit of quality. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's not even the thing it started with. And you're like looking at something and you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's not even what it started with. Like we always have that problem with like posters and stuff where we try to like share them or whatever. And like you lose a bit of the quality.
Yeah, oh yeah, I never send anything. Like clients will send me stuff all the time. If they need to send me something, they'll send it on Facebook, and I'll be like, you got to email it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it just like right off the top, you're losing like a huge amount of quality because it needs to fit into that and be sendable, right? Whereas like you do the big file sharing services and like you get the full file. Like a photo file sometimes can be huge, or like a video file, massive.
Yeah, like when we're doing like I can send like finished work like JPEGs to clients, obviously online.
Yeah,
but
just be like, take a look at this. I'll send you the good version, you know, like through email or whatever.
Even like finished like JPEG files aren't that crazy big. Like I can upload them to like things I've paid for that can hold a lot of files and then give it that way. But like when we're transporting, like if I have somebody shoot for me, for example, for like a wedding. Yeah. And I have the raw files, like you cannot send those online. There's nothing that is anywhere that you can send that big of files. Yeah. Like I need to take the actual cards home.
And then you'll take care of them. Yeah, exactly. Like there's like, you know, like you can tell, like it's like you start with something big at high quality and you have to like smush it down. So like same thing happens with music. Like
makes sense.
Especially like with songs you really know and like you know all the little parts, when you do the listening test, you'll hear it and you'll be like, man, like I'm missing out.
Like if a track, like if a band, like you guys are a 3-piece band, so there's only like there's probably a vocal, a backup vocal, drums, guitar, and a bass track.
Yeah.
If you guys had like a bunch of other instruments, like I know you guys had the keyboard for a bit, but like what about like a band that has like 10 people? Are those songs and file sizes a lot bigger?
Oh yeah, because there's more tracks, right? Yeah. And even like, you know, we double up guitars, you know, like guitar solos will be on a separate track, you know, and all the, like on a drum set, like dozens of mics, like those are all like, you know, put into one drum track. Yeah, the more parts you add, the thicker the beast becomes, and you know, you can cut things and make it smaller. But like, yeah, if there's like a 10-piece band versus like just Huttch, even if we did like triple every part and like mixed it, like it's still going to be bigger, just more parts.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that with drums. Like with a guitar, they can plug into the thing that's recording it from,
direct, and they can get the exact sound that they need. And like now with the way that like recording technology is, like you can make a guitar sound like anything. But at least for me personally, like some people will do sampled drums. Like nothing beats a drum set in a room. Like because you can put mics in different places. You can get those echoes that like, sure, you could sit down and like try and replicate it, but I just feel like it just sounds way more raw when you're just capturing it live in the room. And I'll do as many takes as I need to get that sound, because that's like that's what I want personally anyways. Like,
yeah, like two of the first Led Zeppelin albums, they do the drums in like an entrance of a house that's 2 stories high with a staircase, right?
Yeah. So like, you know, like, and that's why the drums sound that way. Now we can do stuff to make it sound that way, but like it still doesn't perfectly replicate what was going on there, you know? And I've done like Derek will sometimes be like, oh, I got like these big rooms where you can record drums. They sound amazing. And it's true. Like it adds like it's like putting like a special filter on it, but all you're doing is just changing the room, you know? And it's really cool that like drums is like that. You can do that with guitar too, but it's always just better direct in, because then you can just modify it any way you'd like.
Yeah, and I guess like with the guitar, I guess you could sit down, but like the drums aren't really moving at all.
No.
Like they're all in the same spot, so you put the mic in front of it and then
It'll
it's
be there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
But sometimes they'll put like, and like I'm not the best to describe this. I'm not a guitar player, but like you put the amp in like a soundproof like chamber, and then there's a mic in there, and then you run the cord all the way out, and then they're playing out in like next to the board, But like you can still capture the sound that way, but still like you can still like plug direct in and like modify more. Like there's just more options with guitar, which is cool. Like drums, it's just like you can add effects to it, but it's really about what you do in the room.
Are you guys using like shotgun mics like these to record that stuff? Like where the recording comes from the front?
It's a bunch of different mics. I mean, like Zach's better at like describing exactly what we're doing. I feel like I purposely like am trying not to know what's going on just because it's like so much over my head. And like, I'm sure I could sit down and really learn like the technical stuff of it. He has some really nice mics now. And then when you go to a good studio, it's like, it's every different type of mic. There'll be directional mics for like very specific sounds, and there'll be a mic on every single piece of the drum set, as well as like big overhead mics. And then like, there'll be mics at like the back of the room. And then sometimes there'll be a mic outside of the room just to get the echo, like just to get the sound of like the sound in a room. And you can like, sometimes when you hear like a song in the intro, it's like, and it's just like, it sounds like the drums, but they're really far away.
Yeah.
They just start the track with that outside mic or that room mic, and it gives it a really cool effect.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mics are, because I do a lot of video, so I'm always doing audio stuff.
Yeah. It's all like little tricks, right? And you learn a couple things, and
it's hard.
we've worked with a lot of different producers that do things very differently. So we've seen a lot of really cool methods when it comes to like recording and stuff.
Yeah, that's what's cool. Like every time I do like a video wedding, like for video, like I always have like a second shooter with me, and everybody especially does audio totally different.
Yeah.
So my thing with audio and doing a wedding, like I got a video wedding coming up this weekend. Mics everywhere. More mics the better. Put a fucking mic everywhere.
Well, then you don't lose anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I was just talking with the guy I'm shooting with this weekend, and I was like, "What do you usually do?" And he's like, "I do a mic here and here and here." I was like, "Good, do that." And then I'm going to do my mic, and then I'm gonna add here, and here.
Yeah,
and we're just going to have 6 mics everywhere. And then, because like best case scenario, what were you going to say?
Oh, like I'm sure like he has his own gear, and then you come in with your gear.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, like just in case, like we can, you do your thing, but then also like I have my own gear. So it's like, it's a combination.
Yeah, it's great. Like obviously the best case scenario at like a reception is you just go up to the DJ, you give him a mic, he plugs it into the soundboard, and then you have all the songs, entrances, and speeches, and it's all clean as hell.
Direct in, and yeah, it's clean, yeah.
But sometimes it'll like hot mic coming out of the board, and you can't use it. Like it'll be like too
loud, and it'll just overload.
Yeah. And if the DJ doesn't know how to fix it, like it's a wedding, you only have like 5 minutes to set mics up. We don't have time to fuck with it. So
it's like once. It happens once. Everything happens once in a wedding. So there's like a lot of pressure.
So then I always like, like the speeches mic, we'll like tape a lav mic to it.
Just so they're talking in both and you kind of get it.
Yeah. And that works. And then we'll have another one sitting on the podium. And then we'll take another one, like just a lav mic. This is like 4. This is number 4 back.
Yeah.
And we'll just put it on a speaker and let it dangle in front of the speaker.
Yeah, because then it'll still capture it.
Yeah, and then there's mics on the cameras. There's mics everywhere, but usually you just take the one off the board. So all those mics you set up, you don't even ever listen to them.
They're all emergency parachutes. Yeah. Like in a parachute bag, you have like your main parachute, and if that one doesn't work, you got the emergency cord. So you have like 4 emergency backups. Yeah,
so like 9 times out of 10, you're just taking this, and it's all perfect, and you did all that nonsense for nothing, but you gotta do it.
We've had a similar situation, like when we recorded Home Run, like we did a lot of the tracking ourselves, right? So it would be something where me and Zach would go in together, and it'd be drum day. So like Zach would set up the mics, we would go through the song. We might even do a couple songs where I'm just like, I'm doing all the drums. Drums are usually first anyways. Like, let me just get as much of my stuff out of the way. And it's also like the most complicated, like because there's so many mics.
Is that why they're first? Like, why are they first? Is the most important instrument?
Yeah, like I guess like the main thing is like you're playing to a click, right? So the drums is kind of the first easiest one to be directly on the click and represent the time for everyone else.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone should be on time with me.
Yeah.
So it's just a good way. Like I'm pretty much just like a musical version of the click. I'm like subdividing that click and just playing a bunch of stuff, but it's all like on that time frame.
Yep.
So it definitely just makes it easier than like raw guitar tracks with a click. And now it's like, okay, play to Sebastian on that click and like make sure it all fits, you know? So, and like I can definitely, when I first started, I definitely couldn't play to a click, and now it's like me and the click are like brothers. Like it's like I know exactly what I need to do to like keep on that click, or like if I'm mid recording and I'm off by even like a little bit, I'll just stop and be like, nope, start again. Never mind.
Drums and bass are like the important like bases for the track, right? Like the guitars kind of, it can be off and it like not in the recording, but like live, it's not as important as the bass and drums, right?
It definitely like represents like the sound and the timing, right? It's the biggest foundation. Like I'm representing the time. Like those, like if I speed up a song mid show, they have to play with me. There's nothing they can do to like they can't just like hold their ground and be like, no, it's this fast. Like they can try, but like really like it's just going to sound bad. They have to stick with me kind of thing. So, and with drums and bass are always just locked in because that's just how things sound good. Like the bass guitar should be locked in with like the kick pedal, like for almost everything, right? So Zach's really working off me for the most part. And then, it is something where it's like I'm playing, Zach's working off me, and then Sebastian's working off Zach and me.
Okay.
You know, like, Sebastian can do whatever he wants, but he should probably be on time. He should probably be on key, you know, like stuff like that. So, like drums are first because they have to be first and they take the longest.
That sounds like, it's just a lot more, stuff. They're not just playing into the recorder.
Yeah. But going off the mic thing, what I was talking about earlier, we did all those drum tracks. We sent them to Derek, who was like mixing Home Run. And, I did all these takes, and, there was a couple songs where I'm like, I don't want to play this song anymore. I've done like 6 versions of it. We've changed little parts, so now I have to do the drums different. So we send the final tracks. I'm like, okay, good, I'm done with it. And it's like, oh, one of the mics wasn't fully plugged in, so you're going to have to do them again. And I was like, oh, okay. So you got to set them all up again and, basically play it like all the way over again. Like you can't replicate a certain mic in a certain place. Like say a snare mic is gone. Now you have no snare for the whole song. Like you can't just like sit there in a room and just play the snare. Like it's just not going to sound the same as when you're doing it all together.
Yeah. So I guess if one mic fucks up, that's a lot of mics that could fuck up too.
Yeah, exactly. So like and that's why engineers are awesome, because they are just like, they're computers in that sense. They are like they will quadruple check everything. They can set it up way faster than us, and they know exactly how to make it sound good. Especially if you go to like their studio, they know exactly how to make it sound the way that they want to. Yeah,
that makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what are I want to hear your favorite song off of each of your albums.
Oh damn. Okay. Well, EP's already done, right? Every now and then.
Yeah.
And then Hachino is gonna be mono.
Really?
Yeah, I love mono. And like we just played it on like our last few shows, and we played like we were doing like a sped up version of mono when we started doing the heavy songs, but we did it like the normal way. And like I just think it's such a good song overall. It doesn't even have the craziest drums.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Yeah,
but they're like the tightest. Like it's so locked in, all the parts. Like I have little parts, but they all fit into the song perfectly. And it's also just like the nicest sounding song. It might be my favorite song we've made.
Really?
Like sonically, like it's just really good, and it's very like it sounded exactly the way we wanted to, even a little better.
I gotta put it on now. After you hyped it up so much.
Yeah, I love that song. I like even.
Yeah, it's a good song. Oh, your drum right here is sick.
Yeah. Like the little parts all lock in with like it's all locked in with his guitar.
Yeah, like musically, this is really cool. Yeah.
And like it's one of the first times we use the organ and stuff in it to make it a little bigger.
Dude, I've listened to these songs so many times. Like you guys have been like my top 5 artists on Spotify like multiple years. I've heard all these songs so many times, but like as someone who's not musical, like I didn't know there was an organ in that. Like.
Yeah, go back a bit. You'll hear it. Like it's like
you'll hear it. I guess I don't hear stuff like that. I don't know. I just sing.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. My brain's wired different, right?
Who's doing that?
Aaron Goldstein, the producer. Because like we didn't have a keyboard player at the time, and then that's why Dan kind of started with us in the first place. We're like, we have organ in these songs, it would make it sound better, make it sound a bit bigger if you want to do them.
That's cool. Yeah, this is a great song. I love this album.
It's just a really nice sounding song. You can put it on in the background. It's a good works for all occasions.
I'm gonna switch up what we're doing. I'm gonna tell you my favorite song on every album too.
Okay. What's your favorite song on Huttchino?
I love them all. It's kind of hard without listening to them at the same time.
I know, because you kind of forget how some of them sound.
It depends on the mood. I like this one if I'm it's kind of more, but maybe overall, probably Mr. Adams.
Yeah, another one where we kind of pushed it and it went in a different direction, and I think we all kind of didn't know where that was going. This is also an awesome sounding song, and recorded very differently with a different producer, and there's actually a lot of time changes in it that makes it really complicated to record it.
You showed me this song on a USB in your car before it was even out, and I was really excited for it after that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of always been a song I've been excited about.
I'm always the most excited to hear the songs as they progress. I wish I had every version of Mr. Adams, including the one we recorded ourselves, just to see I love the progression.
Zach Caught a Fish is your second most popular on this album.
Yeah. Something happened where it blew up in Australia.
Really?
And just went nuts. It was doing crazy numbers every month, and it was just Australia. And we're like, what did we do? It must have got on some playlist, or maybe it got on the radio and no one told us, but it just blew up out of nowhere.
That's cool. I Want My Money has almost the same amount of listens.
I think that's because it was the first song on the album. So the first song always gets
true.
For people that listen to albums all the way through.
True. Out of all, for Mr. Adams, for being last, it has a higher number than most of the other ones.
Yeah, I think because it's so cool. It is right here, already a time change, totally different. Everything's switched up. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, man, I don't know. I could listen to them all, and I love them all. It's hard to pick. What's your favorite one-off home run?
Damn. Give me a minute. Now I'm forgetting what's on that album, right? Wait, let me bring it up.
Actually, while you do that, I remember I don't think you guys used this recording. I was in Toronto with you guys. We drove up with Sheila, me, you, Zach, and Sheila, and Sash was already there.
Yeah.
And we met him at the studio, and you guys jumped in, and the three of you did the harmony for Get Up. But then I thought one of you told me that you guys ended up going somewhere else to record that afterwards.
Yeah, Get Up is kind of Get Up existed, way before. It was kind of the first new one since the EP. And then we thought it sounded like the Walkervilles. So we kept calling it Soul Brother Huttch. And then we got Stefan, Soul Brother Steph, to record it. We went to his house. He recorded it, and this is actually the Soul Brother Steph version.
Oh, really?
That we kept. We felt like we couldn't replicate it the same as this version.
Wow.
So we got organ added to it and other stuff, but we kept the same drums, guitar and bass and vocals.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so we went full circle with it. Recorded it in Toronto, re-recorded everything, and I remember playing the two side by side. I'm it doesn't capture it the same way. I don't know if I was trying to impress Steph with the drums and just trying to make it really clean and tight, or just the way it was recorded, the way everything clicked.
Yeah.
Just sounded way better here. Just sounded so tight and it sounded like a hit. We're let's just leave it. Let's just leave it. We can find someone to make this sound bigger. It sounded good, but we're now it doesn't match the album. The album's so big. Maybe we can find someone to bring it up and make it a little bigger.
Yeah, I think that's one of the only times I've ever been in a music studio, and I just remember you three just all around one mic yelling.
Get up!
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. All right, did you take a look?
Oh yeah, okay.
At your own songs?
Yeah, it's gonna be No In Between, the last song. I think it's really pretty.
I was gonna maybe say that one too.
I think it's just a very like genuine song with good lyrics, and like it's kind of short. I don't think it's that long of a song.
For me, it's this one or Tired Eyes.
Tired Eyes is also like a really cool one, and like if you heard the first version of Tired Eyes, like it's just really funny how it all like came together. You know, like Zach kind of demoed it with like a shitty keyboard, and like it was just way more cheesy and more of a joke song when it first came out. But also like this sounds cool. Like this sounds cool. Let's make this something.
I like how Sebastian sings this and Tired Eyes. Like he's got a cool,
it's kind of smooth and cool, and I think we're all kind of attached to Home Run because like we spent so much time on it, and it was written, you know, essentially during COVID, you know, and it was just kind of like music to make us feel better. So like all the songs kind of have a bit of happiness to them.
Because this came out, what year did this come out? Did this come out in July 22? Yeah?
April 22.
April 22.
But like we started the process of it probably like around COVID. Like when COVID started, we're like, well, we might as well record and stock up as many songs as we could.
Yeah, because you guys were playing like you guys were playing this. Were you playing this before or no? You guys didn't play this until it came out.
No. This was written in the dungeon. This was written in Zach's house. Like I like this song a lot too. It's short. But,
is it short? Oh yeah, it is short, eh?
Some of the songs are like really short in this one, but they're like so good, like in like they capture like an emotion that we had at the time, you know? Like I like this song a lot too. I like Can't Help Myself. I think I like Sebastian really likes that song too, but I thought that was like a really good one with like good themes. And
I like For the Longest Time a lot too.
Yeah, that was the song that was the one that gave me the biggest headache. Like
really?
I had to re-record it like 10 times. Yeah, and it's just one of those. I think that was also like one of the early demos where it's like we had that song for a while, and it took a long time to get it really, really good, like really tight.
Then you guys didn't put these songs on Home Run, right? Like this song lives on the EP only, right?
So that's like what happened was. So Mono was recorded with Aaron Goldstein. We went back to Aaron Goldstein and we're like, let's start the new album. We have songs. We did like a whole writing session on like Peely Island and wrote these 3 songs. These were like the 3 best ones that we like demoed.
You played these like the weekend before COVID hit.
Yeah.
At Meteor.
Yeah. And they were done, but we weren't like, the plan wasn't to release them until we had an album. And then that all kind of changed with COVID because money. Like recording songs cost money. So we're like, what do we do with these really good Aaron Goldstein songs that like, you know, Aaron was like a big part of Huttch. And we just decided like we can just mix these and put them out. We need to put out something. Like we have these songs, they sound awesome. We can make them sound good. Yeah.
This is my favorite from the 3. I like them all, but
I love One Step at a Time, but it's like kind of selfish because I do the piano in it, and I think that's really cool. That like Aaron was basically like, it's like 5 chords, either you play it or I play it. You think you can play it, and I did it, you know. But like,
that's sick.
Like, and also it's also one of those ones where it's just a really pretty song. Like it's beautiful. I love playing it. Like we played it like the full kind of slow way, and like it's just like a calming song that like lets you know like you don't have to rush into things. Sometimes I really like the lyrics will get me more than like the guitars.
Do you ever write the lyrics, or is it Zach and Sebastian most of the time?
Home Run was probably like the first time that it was like, well, you come up with something, you know, or like whatever. And we were just trying everything to think of lyrics or like come up with ideas, because a lot of the time the music comes first, and then we don't really even know what the song's about. But some, like, even on Huttch, like, I would chime in on, like, what I think it should be or how it should go. But, like, Sebastian's just better at, like...
Does Zach help with the lyrics, or is it mostly Sebastian?
Zach will help, like, probably sometimes even more than me. Like, he'll come up with, like, the hook of, like, you know, what he thinks the chorus should be. And then Sebastian will, like, take that and run with it and make something even cooler, you know? Like...
Sebastian writes most of it. Like, that's him.
But, like, even, like, during Home Run, like, it's like I was in, like, Sebastian's school of songwriting where, like, he was like, well, the song's about this, like Rush of Life. Like, Rush of Life, me and Sebastian kind of took turns writing lines on that. So he's like, well, it's about Rush of Life. Like, what's the Rush of Life? Like, everything should come back to that chorus. you know? So like the first line, like, I'm moving at the speed of sound, why can't I just slow down? Like that was my line. And then came up with the next one, you know, and we kind of went back and forth on it. But I just realized, I'm like, you're right. Like every lyric in the verse should come back to the chorus and make sense, or like why are you even saying it?
Yeah.
So like you have to find a different way to say the same thing, but also touch on something else. And yeah, like I definitely like dip my toes in it. I'm not good, but like put me in a room for like 3 hours with these guys and we drink like 7 beers. Like I'll say something.
Yeah. And the lyric sounds like the most like hardest part, like on your brain. Like,
you know, and like Sebastian makes it look easy, but I know that he's like, whatever struggling I had, like he has the same struggle, but then also will just like produce these like things where it's like, well, of course that's the lyrics, you know, like it's almost like it couldn't be anything else. Like once he has an idea and like I hear it, I'm like, well, it can't be anything else. Like that's it. Like, you know, like that's so good, you know, like sometimes we'll tweak lines or something, but like,
yeah. Like, are you guys ever playing and like say you guys like, okay, this is our song. You guys are like playing for a few weeks, kind of getting it down before you record it. Is there ever a part where you're like, I hate that one verse or just that one line and you guys change a line? Like,
yeah. And even parts, you know, like certain licks or even like the way the song starts, like one person or another will come in and be like, I have an idea for this song. Like, you know, even though we've already have like the song, it would be like, okay, let's try it. If we all don't like it, we don't have to do it, but let's try it this way and see what happens kind of thing. You know, even like For the Longest Time was one of those ones where we had that intro part and, you know, we had the verses, but it's like, okay, well, how do you get into the chorus? Like, oh, like, you know, like you mess around sometimes. They're almost like puzzle pieces that you can move around. And it's like, well, let's put the verse here. Let's have the verse start right away. Let's riff around for like a couple bars before going into the lyrics, stuff like that. Like all those little tweaks, like it's kind of never ending. And even like when you're in the studio, sometimes you can just be like, well, let's try this. Like I'm here now. We have the recording stuff. What if I do this? There's been so many songs where I'm in the studio and I'm like, I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm just going to like try this, see, like, and like the guys will know I'm playing it differently and they'll kind of look at me and I'm like, you know, hear me out. Like I know how to play the other version. Like hear me out. And, you know, let's try this way.
Yeah. That when you guys record, like, and you said sometimes you'll do like you'll do like this, like the guitar solo differently. Do you guys ever like do things where it's like almost impossible to play it live or no? Do you try to make sure you can always play them live?
Well, like right now without Dan, like we can't play Get On With It. Like unless we have backing tracks or something, like it's just so piano that like there's not really a way to do it. Like even when we practice it, like I'm like jokingly singing like the piano parts in the mic and like just keeping us on track, you know? But yeah, I like there's always a way. There's always a way to cheat it, but you know, there's definitely, I'd say most of the songs, there's really 2 guitar players in them. Sebastian's playing both parts, and that guy's got to figure out how to play both of those parts and sing. So he'll like play a big chord that sounds like, oh, it's still playing, even though he's not playing, and then he'll come back in to make it sound like, oh, it's been playing the whole time, you know, like, you know, in the background or whatever, you know. So there's ways to cheat it. Like drum wise, like there's nothing I've done like recording wise that I wouldn't be able to replicate because it's always just me, you know. So like at least in that way, but like yeah, a lot of the studio tricks, you know, it's like you can try and replicate it with like cool pedals and sound effects and stuff like that. But definitely Sebastian has the hardest time when it comes to like keeping up with himself.
Yeah, for sure, man. For you sing quite a bit for being a drummer though.
Yeah, like more than I signed up for.
Is it really like, it must be like, I know everybody else is running around on stage, but like singing as a drummer must be like the hardest, like physically.
It's a lot. Like I think even just playing drums, it's a lot of like chopping up your brain into different parts, like being like, okay, there's like certain appendages of mine where I'm like, you're just going to do that. I'm not even going to think about you and you're just going to do that. And I'm just trusting you to just do that while I do other stuff and sing, you know? So it is like, I don't know. Like when I first started, when I first joined the band, I could not sing and play drums. Like I would like go to sing and then I'd miss a part. So it was just something that over time I had to like polish and get to a point where I could trust my whole body to play the parts and just like, and be like, well, I'm playing on time, so I can sing on time. And it's just another part on top of the thing I'm doing on time. You know, like I had to like,
that's too many things.
I know. Tell me about it, man. And like, you know, like it's a cardio workout, not singing. And then like, you also have to like use your breath to sing too. Right. So it's a lot. And sometimes like I'll pretend to sing and I'm not singing because I'm just so tired, but, it's a lot. And definitely like, you know, most drummers don't do that, but you do see drummers that do that.
Yeah, you remember Fisher Kings? That guy would sing whole fucking
like
White Stripes songs.
Yeah, he was the singer, you know, like, and it's just like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think like a big inspiration for it was seeing the Walkervilles, because they would do the 3-part harmonies and they would sound so good. And then I just see Steph like effortlessly like playing the drums and singing those harmonies. I'm like, well, it's possible. Like that guy's doing it. Like, how's he doing it? I don't know. Like I was just as like, I don't even know where to start with that, you know? Yeah. And I think it started with the EP where it's like, okay, like now we have these parts with harmonies. Who's going to sing them? Like, I guess it's me, you know, and I'll do certain parts, but like I was really only doing like little chunks, and then I would like get back to the drums. And then it just kind of kept expanding where it's like, okay, now I can do harmonies on pretty much all the big parts if I need to. And Sebastian's like really good to work with singing wise. Like he will dance with you. So like, and you can both kind of hear each other, and I also kind of know what he's going to do, and I know how to like kind of mimic it at like a different level.
You guys have been playing so often together for so many years now that I'm sure it just really feels like butter when you guys play.
Oh yeah. Like something like you get to have fun with it. That's the best part, is like you've done certain songs for so long that it's like, I can change it up and I still know they're going to play that part. So like I can, you know, like I'll always try to like do something to be like, like that was pretty cool, huh? You know, like, or like if I can get them to turn around, like that's when I know I'm like, I gotcha. You know, like, you know, like if they're like, hey, what the fuck was that? You know, like it's like, yeah, see, like I still got some tricks, you know?
When you guys are touring like you just did, you're not practicing at all, I assume, because you're playing so much, or?
You practice before the tour to get like, okay, this is the set we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's like, you know, how are we going to go from this song to this song, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then once you're playing regularly, you're just getting better. It's better than practice, you know, because it's like practice under pressure. It's practice in front of people. So like, you don't really have to if you're playing regularly. Like you can like rehearse certain parts if you feel like there's like parts that just aren't working, or if you want to add a different song to a set, you can try that out. But yeah, if you're doing like 3 shows in a row, like, you don't have to, like, you know, like you're getting better. Like the last show is always the best show, typically. And it's like, you learned all the mistakes throughout doing it that you're like, oh, it's actually better if we do this song, then we do this song, you know, like you learn the best pattern for doing it. And like, for me, it doesn't matter. Like drums are in one key, I hit them, and it has no effect on me if it's like, oh, we're in the key of F. It's like, okay, great, cool, sounds good. Like boom, boom, bap. Like, So it's always with them and what they have to do tuning wise, or change the capo or whatever to like make it all work for them. So like, I'm pretty flexible with that. Yeah, because they have to stay together,
right? And
and they, like, you know, like different songs are in different keys, so they have to like time out when they're going to change their tuning or change a guitar or whatever they need to do to make the next set of songs work.
And you don't want to be changing every single song, right?
You can, but it's ridiculous. Like it doesn't make any sense. So you want to, you know, find a balance where it's like, okay, we don't have to do any tuning for like 3 or 4 songs. We can like bang them out, boom, boom, boom. And then we can like stop, say hi to everyone, tune the guitar, say something dumb, and then go into the next one.
Is that why you do more talking in between songs than them, because they're doing shit and you're just sitting there
I don't
waiting?
have to do a single thing. Like, I really don't, like, other than like catch my breath and like, you know, have a sip, you know, like other than that, like, that's kind of why I'm like the guy like in charge of stalling, even though like they don't want me to. I feel like it's also something where it's like, if they're taking a while to tune, I'm like, all right, I'm going to say something, like, you know, are you going to stop me? Like, you know, like, hurry up.
So I'm sure you have over all these years, but like, have you ever played like pretty fucked up before?
Yeah, I've learned the limit. So the limit is 8 beers. You can't go. You can
play at 8 beers?
No. So when you play at 8 beers, you mess up.
You can play at 7 beers?
7 beers is just fine. It's like the second your lips touch the 8th beer, it's over.
You don't throw up on 7 beers? after an hour set.
Like here's when you when you play, you pretty like if I have like 2 or 3 beers before a show and then play a show, I'm back at sober. Like it's
for sure.
It's burned. That alcohol is burnt. I've sweated out, you know, and like I kind of like having a water on stage too for like singing and just like I probably shouldn't just drink beer.
Yeah.
But, you know, like every time we play Sarnia, I'm like, how many beers can I drink? You know, like what's the magic number? And then there was one show where it was so bad that like even the guys were like, bro, you like slowed down, you missed parts, you like it's not it, you know. So 8 beers is
what you can't have. What about those two? Like, can they have that many or no?
What they're doing is a bit more like they got to move their little fingers perfectly, like fine motor skills. Like they'll have a couple. Like we've played Halloween parties where Sebastian's so drunk he's like falling over amps and like, you know, so like there's a limit to everything and like everyone has their tipping point of like, you know, don't go too far.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the vibe of the venue. Like if you guys are playing a Halloween show at Fog with all your friends, like you could probably be a little more fucked up.
It's a party and like it's almost more fun if we're a little tipsy and you just feel like you're part of the party. The biggest thing in a show is to just kind of you're actually just a member of the audience that decided to pick up an instrument, you know? Like you should like still be with them. You shouldn't be like looking through them. You should be like part of it. Like oh, I'm here for a good time too. That's why we're playing, you know? Yeah. But yeah, through science and research, like there is a limit. I remember the Monster Truck show. I was like super nervous and was just kind of like drinking my nerves a bit.
You were nervous for that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
After all those years and
I think
DH, yeah?
I think just because of where it was and what it meant for like the new songs. Like we were playing those new songs kind of for the first time all the way through. And like there was a lot of pressure on it, and like we ended up playing another show with them in Owen Sound.
Yep.
But that was like, you know, like the Windsor show. We were like the guys that were like picked to do Windsor for these guys doing these small venues and stuffing them. Yeah, I was like super nervous. So I played that show like a little drunk, but by like the 3rd song, I'm like sober again, you know, like once you're into it and like you know the songs enough, like you're kind of good to go. There's, you know, like ideally it's like 2 beers before the show, a beer on stage, and then drink as much as you want after, you know, like choose your destiny after that.
Yeah, I've like see, because like a lot of the times with like work, like I can't be drunk.
You gotta like you have to like if your eyes aren't in focus, how do you know that the picture's in focus?
But when I'm doing things for fun, like shooting a band, I can get drunk and see how it goes.
Yeah,
which I don't like. I'm not a big drinker anyway. Very rarely get drunk. But like in the past, like I have like been shooting a show for fun and just be like, I'm gonna get drunk and see what happens. It's pretty much the same thing. I might just get some like more creative photos, but it's, you know why? It's because it's only fun because I know there's no risk.
Yeah, exactly.
If I fuck it up, it doesn't matter.
If you're drunk at a wedding, word's gonna get around. Word's gonna get around that you're the guy that gets drunk at people's weddings and shoots terrible photos.
Also, I have zero desire to drink alcohol after working like 10 hours for a wedding. Like the last thing I want to do, I want to go to bed. You know?
Yeah, like it's a long day, right? You're probably like there first and probably the last to leave because you got to capture everything.
Yeah, and like a lot of the times, like bride and grooms are like, stay for a beer and have fun, and it's like, guys, like I love you guys, and it was a great day, but like I'm going to fucking bed.
Yeah.
Or like, no, I'm going to come home. I'm going to like put all my gear away, offload some stuff, like make sure everything is like good, take memory cards out, and then I'm going to go to sleep.
What if you get drunk at the wedding and like you lose some stuff or you like, and it's like, oops, and like
sober day.
we have that like at shows, right? Everyone wants to like do something after, right? So you have to like pack up your stuff and it's like, okay, where's the party? But like sometimes like it turns your life into a cyclone where you're like, I remember there was a show in Sudbury. This is like way back where like I left my cymbals in Sudbury.
Oh.
Like literally like we loaded the gear in the venue so that we could like party in the venue for the rest of the night. And then we like unloaded the gear. Like I was probably hungover and like we're loading the gear back into the car to go home and didn't see the cymbal bag, assume someone else grabbed it. Cymbals are in Sudbury. And like I'm realizing it as we're setting up for practice like a week later. So these cymbals have now been like in this venue for like a week. And I'm like, I remember when I realized it, I'm like, I have to drive to Sudbury right now. And then the guys are like, no, like call a person, see if they're there, and go from there. And it ended up like a friend of ours like lived, I think he lived in the building like attached to the venue, and he's like, I'll just go downstairs and see if they're there. And he's like, and he like sent me a picture. He's like, are these it? I'm like, bro, like, can you like mail those to me like immediately?
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
I
like,
don't want to be doing stuff like that.
Like, life's a party, you know, band, whatever. But at a certain point, there's gotta be balance, or you're just gonna get lost in it a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And now, like, I feel like we've got it down to a science where like we know where those levels are. We've played in those goalposts, and like there's a sweet spot where like you can enjoy your night. Everything's taken care of, everything's organized, and you know what you're gonna do the next day. Yeah,
no, for sure. So you said you were nervous for that show. Like, how nervous were you for like Simple Plan?
I wasn't nervous for Simple Plan until we walked out. And then it was like, oh, there's a lot of people. Oh, they're all making noise at the same time. Like, it just like, because we were like in that back green room the whole time. And I think I poked my head out once when people were just starting to come in. And then, yeah, like the walk from like the curtains to the drum set felt like an eternity. Like, it felt like the longest walk ever. And I'm like, man, like, this is like real. Am I even ready for this? Like, this happened really fast. And then after the first song, totally comfortable. Like, at a certain point, you practice enough that you're like, I got this. This is like built into my brain, like, to play these songs. I could play them blindfolded. Like,
yeah,
I got this. Like, once the first couple songs go through in like a big show like that, you're like, nah, it's just another show. And it does feel like just another show once you're like, and I don't know, when you're in a band, it's like the three of you there. So you're not like, you know, it's not just me with a mic, like singing karaoke. It's like, I got the boys, someone fucks up, maybe another guy covers it up a little bit, and you know, we're in this together. It's a group effort. But I was like super not nervous. I think I was just blind with confidence, being like, we got this. This is going to be awesome. And then like, yeah, that walkout was just like a little nerve wracking, like a little, like I kind of felt like some old nerves. And then at a certain point, yeah, you feel good about it.
That was one of like the funnest nights of my early 20s.
Dude, tell me about it. Like
and I wasn't playing, you know.
I remember Sebastian calling me about it, being like, bro, we're going to open for Simple Plan. I'm like, how? Like, what do you, like, who, what, when, what? And I guess like the radio station, they wanted the Walkervilles. They were like the guys at the time, and the vibes weren't right. Like, the Walkervilles to open for Simple Plan didn't make sense. Yeah. And then that's kind of how we got the tap, was like, nah, these guys are closer to their sound. So then like we get thrown into this, and I'm like, this is crazy. This is awesome. To this day, people are like, you know, you played with anyone good? I'm like, I played with Simple Plan once. To this day, like, I'll say it all the time, be like, nice. You know, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, that happened. I think we like crushed it and like did a great job. And there's still people that saw us at that show that like are still going to see us because they're like, I remember that show. You guys were awesome. You know,
for sure. That was the first time like I had a photo pass for a big band. That was the first time I was in like a pit.
Yeah.
Like, I was backstage. Like, I got kicked off the stage by their manager. That was
really?
Sick. Yeah.
Because were you shooting Simple Plan and they were like
so like you guys, I don't know, I probably took a couple of you guys on stage, and then I was in the pit the whole time.
Yeah.
And then I left and went backstage with you guys after. And then everybody kind of dispersed, and I was still backstage, and Simple Plan was about to go out. And the lead singer was like, grabbed me. He's like, what's the radio station that's hosting this event? And I was like, it's like 96.7, whatever the fuck it was.
What's the day am I in?
And he's like, thank you. And then he like ran, so like wife and kid were there, so they ran out.
That's more than I got from them. I'll tell you that right
now. And then I just like, I don't even remember who I had the photo pass for. And then I like walked out on stage, and I was just shooting from the stage.
Nice.
And then this guy like, comes up and grabs me. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, what? I don't know. He's like, you can't shoot from the stage. Go in the pit. So I go in the pit and I'm shooting. And they're like, okay, like, you know, first 3 songs, like the rule, whatever.
Yeah.
And I shot a lot of big bands after this in Detroit for a couple years. But like, this was the first time. So like, I didn't really know shit. And then he comes in there like, you gotta, like, you're done in the pit.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. they're like, no more shooting. I'm like, okay. So I'm 20, so I kept fucking shooting. So I went in the crowd and I just kept shooting them, and I got the best shot from the crowd of the night.
Nice.
And then all of a sudden he just grabs me like on the other side of the bar, out of the venue, and he's probably been
staring at you the whole time like, this freaking guy.
The one girl from the radio station was like, are you fucking serious? And then he comes out and he's like, dude, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, man, I'm just taking pictures, I'm having fun. And I was like, I didn't know we couldn't go on stage. I got off or whatever. And then he's like, it's all good, man. He's like, you know what? He's like, respect. He's like, take the risk, get the shot. He like shook my hand. He gave me his card. He's like, I'm whatever from Warner Brothers. He's like, don't write anything bad about my band. I was like, dude, I'm not writing anything about your band. I'm just taking pictures. And he's like, all right. And we like shook hands. It was all cool.
Yeah, he probably thought you were like a newspaper guy or something.
Yeah,
and
he
like,
did. Yeah.
Turns out you're just like some guy with a camera that like we basically like let it.
Yeah. I applied for I had a photo pass. It was probably from Eyes on Windsor. Remember them?
Yeah.
It was probably from them. So like I had a legit photo pass. Like I wasn't connected to the radio station, or I wasn't even connected to you guys. Like I probably got that through them, through the venue. But obviously, I got there like when you guys were doing your sound check.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it was crazy. Like when I like Pierre didn't grab me by the collar and say anything. Like most we got was like a, hey guys, like super excited, blah, blah, blah. And then they just kind of like did their thing and they like spoke to each other in French.
Yeah. I didn't know they were French until that night.
Secret. Oh, I knew, but I'm just like, they're doing that, so I can't talk to them. Like they're like, they can speak English. Their songs are in English, like they're just like, they got their own, they got their own thing going on, which is fine, whatever. And then we got the whole green room to ourselves because they got like an apartment in Walkerville that was like their green room.
Yeah. They like weren't in the venue.
Not at all. Mm-hmm. So like, we had like we were backstage like by ourselves being like, oh cool, this is our backstage, this is great, and it was kind of nice. And I feel like if they were there the whole time, it might have been like maybe more nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But
we were fucking around with ironing boards back in the, remember that?
Oh, we were just fucking around with everything, like anything I could get my hands on. I think there was like costumes in there from like from like a play.
That was for me to reset the camera. I'll do it in a second. Okay. Yeah, man, dude, so that night, I didn't have a car back then because I was just a college student, and I borrowed, I think, my grandpa's car, my dad's car, to drive there that night, and I forgot I drove because I was there from freaking 4 o'clock till midnight.
Yeah.
And dude, I got so drunk, and then I'm about to leave, and I was like, oh my God, I drove. And I had to call and get a ride. I totally forgot I had my car there. I totally forgot.
How did I get here?
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was a good night. I'm going to reset the camera really fast.
Yeah, cool. That was wild for us. That was like our first big show for sure. And it kind of, I feel like that set us up where like big shows, like we weren't scared of them anymore. Like that was like way bigger than we thought it would be, and we're like, okay, this is different than playing Beer Exchange. Like this is something, and it led to other stuff, and like we've done other shows like similar size, but like that was just like a big special one in Windsor where it's like, it's cool. Like imagine that show in Toronto, like it'd be amazing, but you don't get to play to everyone, my mom was able to see us do that. Like it was just a big special night for that. We all had like, I think we had like a certain amount of guest lists that we could bring like our friends to, so we had like a few of our friends there that got to see it. I definitely got drunk after we played and was like screaming, I'm just a kid, like as loud as I could, just loving life.
Yeah, that was, man, I never followed them before that, like on social media, but I've been following them since because I took their picture. Dude, it's crazy. That's almost been 9 years.
Yeah.
But
I was just a young idiot. Like,
how old were you when 22?
Yeah, like 22, 23.
It was like February.
That's like when stuff was really picking up when I was like 23. Yeah. So like, I don't know. Perfect timing. Like we just did the EP release. And then a month later, it's like Simple Plan. Like not even like a few weeks. And it was like, okay, we're going.
Yeah. I still know the date of Simple Plan because it was my sister's birthday. I missed like her sixth birthday for it.
No cake, sorry.
Yeah.
Gotta run.
Yeah, it was like February. Well, her birthday's February 17th. So it was like around then, 16th, 17th, whatever. Yeah. That's crazy. That feels like a lifetime ago. Remember when you guys played on the roof of the Wilstead?
Yeah, that was cool too. And that was something where like Mark, the owner of the Wilstead, was like, I don't care how we do it. We're making it happen. Like, if they find me, like, I'll pay the fine. I don't care. Like, we're making this work. And we like lugged our amps and everything up there. Like, it was a lot of work to make it all happen, but it's like so worth it. And it makes something really cool for the city, you know, like that was like, you know, that made the night market like extra special.
Yeah. And you guys played some Beatles songs up there, eh?
Well, we did the roof songs, you know, like just because like, why not? When's the next time I'm going to play a roof, you know?
Have you
like,
played a roof since?
No, there's been, you know, inklings, but nothing for real. Bethany from Musicland was like, I want you guys to play the roof. And I'm like, I'll play any roof.
In Amherstburg?
Yeah. And there was other things. And like, I was always like, yeah, like I would prefer to play a roof, actually. That's so cool. Like, I think it's the coolest. And yeah, we only got to do that one, but it was still like, I just remember telling the guys, I'm like, we have to play these songs because like, it's just too good to pass up to like play the Beatles songs that they played on the roof.
I was at Dan's studio like the night, and I was just telling him that everybody in the city misses his parties.
Oh, dude!
And he said he might do something on the roof.
Make it happen. Another thing where it's like, you know, get the license or whatever you need to do, or just do it and see if anyone notices. That's the other move, right? Yeah. And like, why not? Those parties were so fun, and it was a good way to. Another thing, like you were saying before, where it's like the scene was very like cohesive. Everyone would bump into each other. Everyone was kind of going to the same places, doing the same things. And that was one of those things where it's like when those parties came up, like local like visual artists, like even like your stuff would have been hanging there, you know, and like it's just a good way to bring everything together. And you can see like, oh, there is other people that do this stuff. And it's a party. Like it's like there's no pressure on it, at least for me. Like I was just there to like mingle and have a good time, and it was cooler than going to like whatever else was downtown at the time, like pub club or whatever they were doing at the time, you know. Like it was like I've done that, you know, I've gone to Treehouse, you know, like, but this is like I can do that, but I get to like be around people that I want to be around.
Yeah, no, those were so fun. He did those for a decent amount of years, at least 3 summers.
Yeah, of like multiple parties.
Yeah,
and it was like it was just a cool thing to do. You know, it was just something different. Like you know, I always loved those. It was I don't think I missed one.
Yeah, I don't think I missed one either.
Yeah.
Like whether I was in it or not, he did a lot. Like probably like 15.
Yeah. Like it was like every couple months.
Yeah.
And then there would be like theme ones or like whatever. Like it was cool. And you can like you know, you could buy local art right there, or you could buy his stuff like straight from him. You know, like it was just a really cool thing that he did. He was the one that actually printed the cat shirts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was like, I went to other printing companies and they're like, I don't know if we can do the 3 colors layered on top of each other. Like it's going to be a big mess. It's going to be messy. And I just really felt like Dan could make it happen. Like if anyone could do it, like he could find a way to make it like all work.
Yeah.
And like if you, like we were selling them with 3D glasses. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah,
we had,
I got
like,
them.
We bought like a like Amazon like 3D glasses, and like it works if you put on the glasses. I'm like, that's crazy. Like how in the world, you know? Like how did we make this work? Like
there's a picture. This is why I still remember that shirt. There's a picture of me the first time I went to Nicaragua. I'm on a beach in the middle of nowhere, sitting on a truck with that shirt on.
Yeah, like that's what I love seeing is like people wearing the merch and doing cool stuff. Like, you know, like the toques, like people wear the toques everywhere. I want to do hats again. I think hats are just like the perfect merch thing that like a hat fits everyone. You know, like it's just an easy way to be like, we're sold out of shirts, but we got these hats.
Those fun shirts you guys made with like the skateboard on it. Yeah. It was like hand denim. Juliana has one of those. She wears it a lot.
Sebastian made those.
Yeah.
And he still has the screen printing stuff to do it, but he would just like he just do it on like whatever shirts he had, like any blank ones, whether it was like something I gave him or he would go to Value Village and like look for shirts and put the skateboard design on.
Yeah, those were sick.
Yeah, it was cool. Like because it was just a good way to have a little extra merch if we like didn't do an order or whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. What are your favorite like bands to listen to? Like your favorite musicians?
It's a little bit of old, a little bit of new. I remember like people asking me when I was like really young, like, what are your favorite bands? And I'd be like, Led Zeppelin and Blink-182. Like, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, little old, little new. Like, so I love
Both
Zeppelin.
great drummers.
Yeah, it's all about the drums, man. Like, come on. Like, I love Jack White. I love rock music probably the most. Like, that's always going to be my go-to.
What decade?
That's hard. I'd say 70s. Same. Like 70s is just kind of like 70s is a cool time in music because there was a ton of money going into it. It's like it was like the perfect timing of like if you were really good, there was money behind you and you could make something really, really good. Like the best studios were being made, the best music was being made, kind of like all at the same time. All the big record labels had tons of money, and the money was being made off of like physical records, and people were buying millions of them. Mm-hmm. So there was like, it was a huge industry, and if they could get the next band, like people would dump money into them hoping that they'd make something amazing, you know? So I really love that era, but I still love what's going on like in regards to like new music, but it's just like you gotta look for them more, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, me too. I like 70s like jam bands are my favorite. I forgot to shut that off. Yeah, they're like, in my opinion, that's like there's so much, like I like so much music, but like that's like the greatest music. Like
Yeah, like I love Stevie Wonder. I don't know, like I'm just obsessed with him. His run in the 70s is like untouched. He got like, he put out like 4 or 5 albums within 4 or 5 years, and 3 of them won album of the year.
Damn.
Yeah, and like one year he didn't win because he didn't put an album out that year. You know, like it was just like he was just in this like era where he was just untouchable in regards to like quality, because like he was like he basically signed a deal where he got creative freedom, and he just like creatively freedomed all over the place and made some of the craziest music. Did like fusion, jazz, like Latino music, like whatever he was feeling at the time. He's like, I could make a song like that, sure. Like, you know, and like awesome music.
Someone else who banged out 1 million hits too is Elton John.
Yeah.
Just like ran with it. Stupid amount of hits.
Ran with it. Like if you look at his discography, I think he put out like an album every year.
Does he not have the most hits of all time? I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Like him, Michael Jackson, Drake, probably like most number ones.
Yeah, Drake's up there. Drake passed the Beatles for it, I think.
Yeah. But like, think about it. It took that long to like beat it, and now like music is made so differently. Mm-hmm. Like the Beatles put out like, I think it's like a single every 3 months and an album every 6 months.
Wow.
That was their like work ethic.
Wow.
To like get to that level. And now like someone like Drake probably has a home studio. His buddy has a studio down the street. He can like record music on his phone the moment he has an idea. Like those guys were like, the Beatles were just hammering, like they turned it into a full-time job where like, it's like, okay, if this is our job, like we're showing up to work, and like, you can't like luckily they were signed and whatever, and they were popular, but like, that's insane. The amount of like work they put into like making songs, and they made a ton of songs in a short period of time. Like I think it was like 9 years or even less.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of albums, ton of singles.
Yeah.
It's wild.
71. Yeah. So what is
they
it,
broke
63?
up before the 60s. I mean, before the 70s. Like,
really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. So like, I think they started around 62, like in regards to like being popular.
Yeah.
And like ended before the 70s.
Yeah. It's definitely less than 10 years.
Yeah. And like all those albums, like, and it'd be something where like, you know, 2 albums were kind of like in the same year. Like they were doing an album every 6 months.
Yeah.
Like,
and like wild. The best albums of all time.
Yeah. It wasn't even like if you even if you threw like a bunch of money at Huttch to make an album every 6 months, like there's gonna be a joke album in there. Like there's gonna be an album where it's like, okay, here's all the leftovers. Like, you know, like we're overworked. Like
the thing I love about, like if I could pick one band to listen to forever, it'd be the Beatles, because the variety of music you would get.
Another thing where like their creative, like once they kind of realize they can make any song they want, they kind of exploded in every different direction. They've got like acoustic songs. They've got, you know, like John would do a song and it would be just wild, and then Paul would kind of do his version of that song, and it would be in a completely different direction. And like songs about everything, songs about made up worlds and made up people, you know, like anything they could think of.
Yeah, they're all good no matter what. There's no one bad song. Like they're all fucking great.
Like you can, like any album, like I was reading this book about kind of how they wrote each song, and like it would go through each album and how they wrote each song. And then I would listen to that album when I finished like that part of the book. And like every album's good, even the early stuff. It's like, this is awesome. Like these are awesome songs. Like they're short, they're sweet, they're clear. Like the clear intention was like hit song, you know, like put the word love in it, and put the word I in it, and it's, or like something like that, like where you put in those keywords and it's a hit, like, but they're all good in like a different way. They're all like kind of different styles.
Yeah. I think like Your Blues is like, in my opinion, that's probably like the greatest like rock and roll song.
Yeah.
Like ever.
And that's John, like, and like the lyrics are kind of depressing, but it's so good for what it is because it's raw. And like when you think of the Beatles, you don't think of like
that song.
So lonely, want to die. Like it's like the line, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, but it just works and it sounds awesome.
And it's so like hard and like grungy, and it's like fuck, like you guys did that on like the same album that you did Oh Blah Dee Blah Da.
Yeah,
like they're on the same album.
Polar opposite songs. Polar opposite songs. And like I love the White Album. I think like it's kind of growing on me as like the favorite now.
It's Juliana's favorite. So I did this thing with the White Album where I didn't listen to it. I still have never listened to it straight through, and I purposely tried to not listen to every single song on it. So like one day I would have new Beatles songs.
True. Yeah. And like only a few songs kind of make sense together. The rest of it, it's very sporadic. Like if you do listen to it in order, it's very much like this song and then this song. There's a couple songs that flow into each other, but every song is almost a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what I like the most about it is it's like peak of like, they're like, throw paint on a canvas, like what's going to work, what doesn't work. I like
Helter Skelter a lot too.
Yeah. Really good song.
That's similar to Your Blues. They go together.
Yeah. That's what I mean though. Like almost like every John song has like a matching Paul song that's kind of like different and Paul style.
Does Paul sing Helter Skelter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of his like version of like heavy
he does.
Beatles.
Yeah.
So like, like almost in every way, like there's like something like that. Like John wrote Strawberry Fields, talking about like, where he grew up and everything like that. And it's like crazy trippy. And then like Paul writes Penny Lane, which is like, hey, this is my hometown, la-di-da, like totally different vibe compared to like John talking about like nothing is real, like totally different vibe, completely different people.
Yeah, those, man, like Juliana and I, like, they're our favorite band together. Like every part of like our wedding day where you have to like pick a song like to walk into, to walk out to dance to was all Beatles all day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And you can do that because they have so many different songs. Like there's a little bit of something for everyone with that.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 of our like wedding part songs there's 4 or 5 of them. It's all Beatles.
I remember I was in grade school. I was in like grade 3, and our music teacher was like a little different, was showing us Elvis, was showing us Michael Jackson, was showing us the Beatles. And I remember coming home and being like, Mom, why didn't you tell me about the Beatles? Like what, like they were like my favorite band, like when I was in grade 3, like obsessed. And I like started at the beginning, like Twist and Shout was like my favorite song. It still is kind of my favorite song.
That was my favorite, like first Beatles song too.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, this is awesome, and I was like, and my mom's like, they're just so popular. And I'm just like, well, I just got here. Like, I'm a child. Like, you should have told me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, my grandfather, who I get, like, a lot of my music, like, my parents aren't really into music, but, like, I am. And my grandfather's, like, super into music and always loved the Beatles.
Yeah.
So, when I grew up, my mom was always like, oh, the Beatles my whole life. That's all we listened to. And I saw pictures of them, and I thought it was, like, old, boring music. And then as I grew up, I was, like, well, I was still in grade school, but I was, like... They're not like the best band and they're boring. They're like the best band and they're the best band.
I don't think I'll ever get bored of them. Like, I feel like there's always something there where, like it'll always work.
Yep.
My dad listened to a lot of like heavy stuff. Like he definitely got me into Zeppelin. Like I don't think I would have heard of Led Zeppelin unless my dad showed me it. Santana, like all these like big heavy stuff with like crazy drums, like so. I don't know. I think like I'm always going to be privy to that and love that. I love Rush. I love like...
You love the bands with all the great drummers.
Heck yeah. Because it's like, can I do it? Probably not, but I'm damn going to try. Like when I was like first like sitting down learning the drums, I'm like, I'm going to sit in this stool until I can play Tom Sawyer. Like I'm not moving until it's done, and it's a good way to practice.
You're naming like genre leading bands with the best drummers, like Rush, Led Zeppelin, Blink-182.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, those are like, who's the best grunge drummer?
I don't know.
Or not the best? Who's your favorite grunge drummer?
I don't know. I really like Dave Grohl. I think he has his own style. I think he's like very big. He's very Bonham-y. Like when you listen to like the stuff he does, it's very Bonham-y.
Yeah. Is there like a glam rock drummer that you like? Do you like Tommy Lee?
No. I feel like a lot of the glam rock didn't work on me. I feel like that's like the only band that saved glam rock was like Van Halen. You know, and kind of put it in a different direction.
I used to love a lot of those glam rock bands, and I find like the more I get into like music, I just like it's
cringe.
Bad.
It's cringe.
Yeah.
It's I remember like loving loving Journey, loving Bon Jovi. Like you couldn't pay me to listen to a Bon Jovi song now. Like it's not happening. Like it didn't work. The magic wore off. So like. Yep. A lot of those bands, like, just kind of like, I'm like...
I love Kiss, though. I'll always love Kiss.
Kiss is cool.
But Kiss is, like, 15 years before every other glam rock band, so...
Kiss will have a song where you're like, oh, yeah, that was, you know, like, I was made for loving you, baby. Like, great song. Doesn't matter who plays it. Amazing song. Like
we saw them in October in Detroit, their last show in Detroit. Yeah. But it was one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. It was amazing.
Because it's like a circus.
Yep.
It's like, it's more than just the songs at that point.
75 years old, jumping on ropes.
Yeah.
Fucking Little Caesars. He swung, Paul Stanley went from the main stage to a stage at the back of the floor.
And then was like playing there.
And then played there for like 3 songs.
Insane.
Like on a star, because that's like his face paints the star. Dude, it was so cool. Like we both love Kiss. My favorite rock ballad is probably Hard Luck Woman. That's probably my favorite rock ballad song, not Beth.
Oh, yeah. I like Beth.
I like Beth, too. You like Beth because the drummer sings it?
Me and the boys are playing. I like, ballad-wise, I like Take It to the Limit by Eagles. I love the Eagles, too.
Oh, I love the Eagles. They're one of my favorite bands. Those 70s jam bands.
Yeah, exactly. And, like...
Take It Easy is my favorite Eagle song.
It's definitely, like, an easy go-to of, like, you know, yep, that's going to work every time. And, like Joe Walsh's, like, solo stuff is... awesome. And like even Joe Walsh's like early band, James Gang, so good. 3-piece, really good. Like riff stuff. I love like, I don't know. It's like once I realized I was in a 3-piece, I started just studying 3-pieces. Yeah. You know, like Jimi Hendrix Experience, 3-piece, Rush, 3-piece. I'm like, how do they make it work? And
because those two bands are so loud.
Yeah. And like same thing where it's like, you know, the drummer's kind of filling in the spaces. Bass player is kind of doing more than a normal bass player would do. Blink-182, 3-piece. You know, like it's just something where everyone has to contribute or it's not going to sound as good, you know, like, or it's going to clearly sound like a 3-piece, like you're missing a guy.
A lot of the greatest bands like Green Day, Nirvana. Yeah.
Yeah. Even like, you know, like Zeppelin is like a 3-piece with a singer, you know, like it's really just the 3 musicians that are filling out that big sound.
True.
You know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So it's like, you gotta like, at least for me, it was like, okay, how do we make it work, you know? And it's a little bit of no one can be lazy in a 3-piece, I guess is the best way to put it. Like you can't, like there's no lacking because there's tons of space to fill. And
what about a 2-piece?
Man,
the White Stripes and the Black Keys are like the two that come to mind, I guess.
But like Black Keys, like their early stuff is clearly 2-piece, and then as they progress, like they have a bass player. Like come on, like you can hear it, like it's there. But like their early stuff is sick. I like went back on like some of their early like their first 3 albums, and I'm like, this is clearly a 2-piece, and it's dope. Like, and it's very open.
I like them a lot, man. They're really fucking good. And I didn't get into them. Like, I was definitely more into the White Stripes before them.
Yeah. Me too. Like, I think maybe they were just more popular. I knew a few people that liked the Black Keys, but I never like hit the button. And then it's like you go in there and you're just like, man, I missed out on so much. And like,
they don't have as many like hits as Jack White does. I think that's why.
Yeah,
but they're just as good. I mean, maybe not just as good, but it's like it's just as good.
I love White Stripes. Yeah, and like pretty much anything Jack White has touched has been like has like worked for me. Where I'm like, that's cool. You know, it's just very like loud, in your face, raw stuff.
He played at St. Andrews Hall 2 weeks ago. Did you see that?
I heard he's doing a bunch of like. Something like his whole tour is just gonna be last minute shows.
Yeah, he did it.
How can I plan for this?
Week in advance. He did it.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I didn't even know. Like Juliana's cousin, Lucas from Paul the Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so him and his dad went. I was like, how the fuck did you guys get tickets? They went on sale on a Monday for, I think, a Sunday or a Monday show. So, like, yeah, 1 week.
We're going, yeah.
At St. Andrews Hall.
And, like, now I'm at the point, like, I haven't seen Jack White yet. I've like, just kept saving it. And now it's like, man, if you're just going to do pop-up shows, like, you're killing me. Like, just, like, give me your location on your phone, like, so I can, like, go to, like, one of your random shows then. Like,
yeah, because he did Little Caesars, and those are too expensive.
And I feel like now that he's done that, maybe he's like, that's not the energy, you know? And, like... It is hard to do like a place like that, like
especially when you're a musician like that.
Yeah, like you kind of lose a connection with the audience that you had in like a theater.
Yeah,
I think those theaters are like the perfect, like just play that like 5 times.
Yeah,
and just crush it.
Yeah, just do 5 nights in a row.
It's more intimate,
and you can't buy tickets twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no doubles.
And you couldn't resell those; they were unresellable.
Nice.
The person who bought it had to be there.
More of that in like the music world because like I feel like the Taylor Swift thing is like a clear example of like people are paying $3,000 for tickets.
Yeah, and she's not even getting the money. So what the fuck?
Yeah, and like I'm sure she's not happy about it either, or she would just sell her tickets for $3,000 and be like, pay, Yeah. So it's like a lose-lose. The only person that loses is the fans because like the people buying them probably are just seeing dollar signs.
Yeah,
and then it's like so like we need something better where it just goes straight to the people. Like I don't know.
Ticketmaster should do what Jack White just did, where to get in, the person who bought it has to be there.
Yeah.
Too fucking bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think like we need to get back to some sort of level like that where like the people buying them are the fans and like that's it, and you're the only person that can go. You're the guy who bought it. That's your ticket.
If you can't go, then it goes to waste, I guess, because
it goes to someone who actually wants to go to the show, and is willing to pay the money. It's just insane. Like, I don't know. I can't fathom paying. Like, I think the most I've paid for a show is like $300.
Yeah, probably
for like a ticket. And like that's a lot. That's like
I don't even think I've paid that much.
That's like a festival, like in my head, and like. You kind of want to do it sometimes, but you can't do it all the time. That's hard. And like for people to be paying like $1,000 makes 0 sense. I would never pay $1,000. Like it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if they've like brought people back from the dead. Like a one-time show, like it's not happening. Yeah. It's just not in my world. I'll watch the movie. Even with stuff with the band, they're like, how do you do it? And it's like you just do it enough that like you have your system. It works every time. Like I can set up the drum set like in like 10 minutes and it's like, we're good to go. And I can back it up in just as quick if I want to. Like I got my system, it works. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Like I've only been doing the podcast for a year and a half, but like I've been making videos for work and working with cameras for over a decade. Like I have zero, like I know exactly what's going on with that camera right now. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, so the last thing, the Marshall Tucker Band. They're like a 70s jam band. Well, they started in 77, but they're from South Carolina, so they got like a southern
twang to them. That's what I like. Anytime it's like some dude's name, I feel like it's like, okay, if it's like a guy's name, like it's gonna be a little like kind of like bluesy or something, a little country twang to it.
We saw them on Friday, and the lead singer is 77.
Dang,
he's a vet, and dude, they played for an hour and a half, and they did like Grateful Dead style, like they played 7 songs. Every song they played for about 12 minutes. But they're only 5-minute songs.
Yeah, but they just keep going with it.
Just kept playing. Let me show you. So they have a hit, but who wants to hear the hit?
Boom.
I'll just like so you can get a little feel.
Yeah, this is very like Grateful Dead style.
Yeah, but dude, he's got some fucking pipes. Like he's a better singer than Bobby and Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord, I've always
like Southern Billy Joel.
Seems like I was always passing.
It was so good. One of the best concerts I've ever seen.
Yeah. And like, is it all the same guys?
They look like it.
That's when you know.
I just had to come back. But the minute I saw you, all my dreams were standing
It's good, eh?
Yeah. I could listen to a 12-minute version of this.
Yeah, it's great because all the songs are like 5 minutes and then
They just let it out.
pounded it out.
That's kind of like, that kind of stuff. It's like a form of jazz where it's like, where are we going to take it this time? I'm sure they don't even rehearse that aspect of it. It's like, okay, you do a bit, I do a bit, maybe we go back to another thing. But it's kind of something where it's like, they're probably communicating it to each other like through their instruments, being like, let's try this, and like one guy gets on a riff, the other guy jumps on it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. I think it's like we used to do that a lot, actually. Like State of Us and Huttch would do it sometimes, where Huttch used to do this thing where we would go to open mic on Mondays. We would have like 2 songs that we were like either like in the process of writing or like they're written and we want to see if people think they're good.
Yep.
And then we'd be like, okay, 3rd song, make it up. There's no rules. No rules. Like someone starts something, someone play with it, make a song. Like no lyrics, like, cause like you're not gonna make up lyrics on the spot, but like basically just like jam out, see what you come up with. Maybe that could be a song, you never know.
Yeah.
We do a lot of writing that way.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it would be,
Sounds fun.
We would go into a room with nothing and we would just mess around. And we have these like 40-minute audio tracks where there's kind of like 2 or 3 songs in them. And we'll be like, oh, what's that? Pull that out, extrapolate. Like, is that a song? That might be a song, and like, you basically just keep jamming until you hit something where you're like, that's a good groove. And like, there's tons of songs where it's like, great jam, never came up with lyrics, never came out, still exists as like a jam that like may never be released.
Yeah. No, that's sweet though. Okay. I have pretty much hit everything I want to talk about so far.
Sweet.
I want to do a recap with some of the podcasts one time though. Maybe in like 2 years, like do number 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you guys have any shows or tours coming up?
We
just finished one.
We just finished the big one. I think we're kind of cooked. We will probably, I would want to do another Windsor show before the end of the year. And like, you never know what's going to come up. Like there could be other shows. We do want to play the States more, so we might do a little run in the States. Or maybe like, we've never really done like a Christmas show. That could be cool to do. Christmas shows are nice because everyone's kind of home for the holidays. Mm-hmm. So then like all your friends can kind of go out. We used to love going to other people's Christmas shows. Like the Bluestones would do a Christmas show every year, or like a Boxing Day show. They would always do a Boxing Day show. And it was always just so cool. Like, because, it's winter, it's no fun, but you're in a room and it's nice and warm and you can just like enjoy yourselves. And like everyone has that time off.
Yeah.
Mostly. So it's just a good time to do a show.
Yeah.
So I'd love to do something like that. It's like what, August? I got time to plan something like that if it was possible. So, there could be something like that on the horizon. The goal right now is really like, we put out the first EP, like we want to do another EP of like more new songs. Okay. So that's pretty much what we're going to be working on for the rest of the year until that's kind of done, and then figure out when we're going to drop that.
Sick.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just kind of like, listen to what we have. And like,
there's a lot now.
There's a lot. Like we're now like, we're getting to the point where like when we're done all of this, we'll have like 3 full albums, which is awesome. And we've done it in like a good amount of time, like usually like a couple years in between.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of music now. We have a lot of stuff to pull from. And I want to do more sets. I think once we're done all these heavy sets, I want to do something where we mix and match. Little old, little new.
That'd be fun.
Oh, we'll do a slow section, pick it back up to like a heavier section, bring it back down again. Like just now that we have so much different songs,
yep.
Like do more stuff like that. Maybe even do like shows where we get Dan back and do all the keyboard songs and do like a mix of that, have him play some heavy songs with us. There's a lot we can do now because we've like created so much, like over the years.
Yeah, no, for sure. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I always say to tell people where they can see you, but you guys are just Huttch Band on everything, right?
Yeah, Huttch with 2 T's. Don't you ever forget. Put some respect on those T's. That's when we knew like we'd go to like towns for the first time, it'd be Huttch with 1 T, and then you come back the next time and it's with 2 T's, and we're like, see? Don't forget now. So like That's when you know the show is probably going to be better when they like put the 2 T's. You're like, okay, put some respect on the T's.
Yeah, they did more research.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. I know it's been a long time coming, so.
Long time coming, but I'm happy I finally did it. And, I thought I was like kind of nervous, but it's just talking.
Really? You were? See, a lot of people say that. You know who told me they were nervous was Dan McDonald. I'm like, dude, are you nervous?
You literally talk in a microphone every morning.
You're like the most famous, probably current radio person in the whole city. I couldn't believe he told me he was nervous.
Isn't it wild the first time you meet Dan McDonald and he's like the voice from the radio coming out of his head and you're like, whoa.
Dude, it's still weird. I've known Dan for like a decade.
I know, and you're just like, it's still that voice. Like, it's still the voice. I literally know you like for years. Like, that voice is just living. And he would do the ads too. So he's like the voice of the ads, and you're like, yeah, that's you. It can't be anyone else. It's got to be you. That's the voice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll leave it on the Dan note.
Nice. Yeah. Shout out to Dan. Best ever.
Thanks for watching, guys. Every time I take this off, I make that noise.
Oh, yeah, it's like a weight. Like I got like sweat around my ears.
I know. I know. I always got to wipe those off.
I can feel it.